Today we are going to highlight just a little what we're doing through the ministry at Mustangs for Christ. And as I referenced already, John Knox came and last week got things kicked off and really ended up spending most of his time talking about what's going on in the current generation and our ministry to that. Giving thanks to God for this congregation's decades and decades of ministry and service to college students. Many of you are the beneficiaries personally of that ministry in your life and are thankful for that. We've been blessed with a lot of great campus ministers through the years and are very, very blessed currently with our campus ministers. Some of the college students are shaking their head yes. I really, really give thanks to God. That whole process of after Jeremy announced that he was leaving, and we blessed him and are thankful for what Jeremy and Jenny are doing out in Lubbock, but began to pray and are hearing everywhere that it's hard to find ministers and expect maybe a year or 2 year search. And Shane and the search committee just did a great job, and God really blessed us and fairly quickly connected us with really several great candidates. And I'm thankful that Spencer and Bethany are here with us. As I've gotten to know them, I just experience in them a real depth and a seriousness about the mission and about God and about the gospel and about college students. Now, couple that with, okay, they know how to get along with students and have fun and do all those kind of things, but I'm very impressed with them, and I'm thankful for them. And I encourage you to get to know them if you haven't already done so. So I want to ask Spencer and Bethany to go ahead and be making their way up here to the stage. Wendell, you just really want to be up, don't you? Well, good morning.
Good morning.
One of the things that John talked about and that we have intentionally talked about and done over the last few years is to really focus on the reality that campus ministry is a mission. It's part of our mission work. And it's a way that we reach students and a way that we reach around the world. We've had a number of students through the years who were international students, and we pray and hope that they go back and talk about the Lord in their families and in their countries. But campus ministry is a mission ministry. And so in that sense, Spencer and Bethany are missionaries. And anytime we send missionaries out on the field, we want them and we expect them to do several things. And we expect them to begin to understand the culture that they have been sent into, and that is no different for Spencer and Bethany. There's a college culture that they've been sent into, and even generation after generation, that college culture changes. And so we expect them and encourage them to take the time to get to know the culture that they're entering into and ministering into. Another thing we expect missionaries to do is to learn a language. And Spencer and Bethany have to learn a language. Now, they're young enough that they actually are pretty native to this language, but still they have to pay attention. They have to know how to communicate with the folks that they're trying to reach. There are probably a number of other ways that we could talk about this, but I want to say out loud to them that we see you as our missionaries. We want you to be true to that missionary calling and take the time that you need to be good missionaries into the culture that you've been sent. And I know prayer is a huge part of that. Do y'all want to say anything else about just that idea of being a missionary, specifically in a campus setting? That wasn't one of the 3 questions I gave you, was it, Spencer?
Sure. It was not, but I'll still answer it. I definitely do really believe in that sentiment. We do have a beautiful building and beautiful property that is on the campus of MSU. And what makes us a mission effort is just because there's a building there doesn't mean that people use it. And just because we say there's a free meal on the door doesn't mean that people want to buy into it. It's a mission because we have to personally invite people. We have to look them in the eye, and we have to build those relationships one by one to say, come into the building. I wish it was simple as saying, come in, doors open, and they would come in. That's just not the culture we live in anymore. And there's so many reasons, and we can spend the whole time talking about that, but maybe that's for a different time. But we see it as a mission effort because it is making room for each individual person to come in and build relationships there.
Well, talk about, if you will, just what are some of the current things you're doing? I mean, you come in and there's already an existing ministry, but anytime there's a change, and this time there was basically a 7 or 8 month time where there was no full-time campus ministry in place, and thankful for students and others who really kept that going. But still, there are some things that are already in place, some things that you just naturally do when you hit the ground, even though you are still analyzing and studying and praying. So what are some of the current things that you're doing to try to reach students? What's a rhythm of a week look like for y'all?
Yeah, so we just try to pick up what was already being done well. So on Sunday mornings, we'll have a class here, and then Sunday nights, we have a meal at M4C, and then we kind of do, right now we're going through The Chosen and kind of watching an episode every week. Following that, on Wednesdays, we also have worship and a lesson there. But that was kind of all the framework that we inherited, we picked up. The only little change that we made was moving Wednesday night up a little bit early in the schedule. Instead of meeting at 8:30, I think we meet at 7. And that's just trying to see if that can hopefully welcome more people in, not being so late. But we wanted to take in the rhythm that was already laid in front of us. We didn't want to change too much right away. We wanted to see how things were going and see what it was like.
I think also one of the things that we have really been looking at as we've been getting started is just what different types of things do we have to invite students to. So if you kind of think of inviting somebody over to your house or like getting to know them, if you think about in a neighborhood setting, you kind of have to be like out of your house, out where you can meet different people, kind of out on the street, and you'll meet strangers there. And then if you want to invite them to your home, you kind of have to have an entry point or like an easy thing. You can't just like invite them right away into deep relationship. So one of the ways that we do that is our Sunday night meals, like what Spencer was saying. That's a really good way. It's just an entry point, almost like your front porch, where students can come and kind of get to know us and learn what we're about and see, hey, do I want to be part of this? Is this a life that I want? And then beyond that, we kind of see Wednesday night. That's our like worship and devotional time. That's like you invite them into your living room and you invite them into deeper relationship. And so I think that's one of the things that we've been looking at is like, how do we have good entry points? How do we have good just meeting points in general? And then how do we invite them deeply into relationship with us and into relationship with Christ?
Bethany, talk a little bit about Tuesdays and coffee. Coffee seems to be near and dear to your heart, so.
It's true. I do love coffee. So right now on Tuesdays, we're serving coffee on campus, and we want to eventually be able, hopefully soon, be able to serve coffee like out more in campus. And that's a really big deal to us because, like Spencer was saying, students are not just going to come to us. We have heard from so many students that like they've walked past our building so many times and they've never known what our building was. They've never stopped or even considered that it could be something that could be interesting to them. So a really important thing is for us to just get out there and show that we're willing to be in their space, that we don't just want them to come to us, but we want to go to them. And so that's really the big purpose of Coffee on Campus is just building relationships with students, getting our name out there and just showing them, hey, we love you and we want to serve you. No strings attached. We hope that you come to our ministry, but if all we can do is love you and serve you coffee, that's what we're going to do. So we've been doing that on Tuesdays currently in front of the M4C building, but we're hoping to be out more in the heart of campus soon.
You know, we've talked about the building a lot, and we're very, very thankful for the building, and it's gone by a number of names through the years. And just recently, I mean, folks were very generous and helped update that building, and it looks fantastic, by the way. If you haven't been and seen the finished result, it looks really, really good. But it's interesting, as we talk about so far, the building's come up several times. It's a great tool. In reality, though, it's not the draw. It's not, okay, we have a building. And when we talk about missionaries in foreign fields, very often they don't have a place right off. They use their homes. Our folks in the Med Rim, thankfully do have a place, and it's a tool. It's a place where they can gather, but they have to go out and find folks. Your mission field is no different. And so is there anything else you'd say just about the reality of having a great facility, but the reality of having to go where the people are?
I would say just in our world today, we're so focused on ourselves. And we spend a lot of time in our own heads and in our own lives. And we don't really always we don't always use the courage that maybe we have, or we don't exercise the courage muscle in order to go out and just be out of our comfort zone. And I think that's really true for college students, especially who have grown up with phones and with social media and are so isolated. It's scary to meet new people for a lot of them. A lot of them, when you have met them, then they're very friendly. But just taking that first step is really intimidating for a lot of college students. And so I think coming to our building, asking them to come to us, is a really big challenge. And so the best way to get over that is to just go to them. So I think that, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, great.
I think a way of thinking about it that I have is our building is like a castle. And if whoever resides there, they are either the Lord, the King, whatever term you want to use there. But if
Does that mean you're the king?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But in a way, our offices are there. We reside there. We want people to come there. So in that metaphor, sure. But if we want to get to know the people that we're serving, we can't just be the king who sits in their castle. We can't just be locked up and say, this is how they are. If throughout history, if kings don't go out and get to know their people, they're often referred to as a bad king. We don't want to be that. And so it can be an asset. It is. But if we merely just stay in it like a castle, we are the same as the kings who stay tucked away and think they know what their people are doing. And so we try to have that mindset. It is a tool, but if we let it run our schedule, then it is more of a burden than a tool.
Well, that kind of moves us to the last thing that I wanted to talk about. And as a congregation, for a number of years, we've talked about being disciples who are making disciples. We've talked about our building and how thankful we are for it, but the reality that we have to go out, and you've done that in small groups, you've done that in D groups, and have taken that very seriously. And Spencer and Bethany, early on, we realized they have a real heart for disciple making as well. So to make disciples, we have to go out to the folks. I mean, Jesus sent them out. That's part of what being a disciple is going out. So talk about your vision going forward. As you study your culture and learn your language and figure out the best ways to reach folks on campus, what is your vision in terms of making disciples? What does that look like? And then I may ask it again, but as we get toward the end, how can we be involved in that?
Yeah, so first, what has been really formed in me the past couple of years when we were in North Carolina is really being pressed to form a definition of discipleship. So for me, a disciple is a follower of Jesus Christ, someone who is being transformed by Jesus, and someone who is committed to the words, works, and ways of Jesus. It's all of those. And so how do we want to live into that? Well, we want to have followers. We want to have people who say, my allegiance is with Christ. My identity, my security, my life, my hope, my joy is with Christ. And we want to lead lives from me and Bethany, and we both have stories in this where God has transformed our lives. There's one of my favorite VBS songs where it's all like the potato chip song. And it starts with a man who's walking like this, all crippled, and then they meet Jesus, and then he's walking all happy. I think everybody in their lives, no matter what you've gone through or what you've been through, even if you haven't had that big of a story, there's moments in our lives where Jesus is offering to transform us. And students need to know that. Students need to know that it's not about how much they sit and study, or sit in how much they're with different friends or social clubs or sororities or fraternities to put their identity in. Their identity is best when it is in Christ. And he will give you the best transformation. He will give you the best life no matter what degree you get. And so that's what our vision is for every single student that we meet.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're really, really excited to start out doing soon is some discipleship groups. We've been talking to some students who are interested in doing that, who are interested in kind of owning their faith and learning to follow Jesus, not just sitting in these chairs on Sunday morning, which is a wonderful thing, but there is a whole lot more to life with Christ than just coming here on Sunday. And so we're really excited to start talking about that practically. What does that look like to live life with Jesus? What is he asking of us? Who is he? And what does he want for us? And so in discipleship groups, that's something in small groups that we can really get into personally and talk about what does that mean for my life and your life. And so I think that's something that we're really excited about. But Spencer's right. That's it can feel sometimes like a burden to add another thing to your checklist when really discipleship is about a lifestyle of following Jesus and a lifestyle of living into the rhythms of Jesus. And so it's not a burden. It is truly life-giving, and that's something that we're so excited to show. But Spencer is right also that it has to start with us first. And I really appreciated John Knox's question last week about kind of probing where you are spiritually, because that's something for us that's a big deal. If we want to ask students to follow us as we follow Jesus, we have to be worthy of following. And so that's something that we really, that's like the most crucial first step, is just being worthy of other people following us as well.
Well, what are ways that we as a congregation can continue to be involved in the mission?
I think one thing is learning the names of the people that we have. I think God has blessed us with a flock, a group. We have some here, and we have some that come just on our other things at M4C. I think it is really important that we all learn their names as best as we can. Because it was when you learn someone's name, and then you learn to have a relationship with them. And so I think that is just one step that we can take.
Yeah, I think one of the other things, like I said, about what we're trying to do is we want to be people who are worthy of following. People that, like, when college students look at us, they're like, I want to be like them. Not because we're super cool, but because they can see Christ living in us. And so I think that's something that as a church, that's really important for us. If we want to invite students into this church, into this community, and if we want to be people who college students want to be with and want to follow, we have to be looking at ourselves and probing our own hearts and saying, am I worthy of saying, hey, will you follow me while I follow Jesus? And so I think, if you are, that is wonderful. And if you're not, man, we would love to talk to you about that. We would love to do discipleship groups, not just with students, but with y'all too. I know that y'all have already done that before, and I'm so thankful for the ways that y'all have already just kind of dove into that life of discipleship. But there may be some of you who haven't done that yet. And so we would love to do that to help you learn to follow Jesus and become that definition of a disciple like what Spencer was talking about. And then also learn practical tools to make disciples. There's a whole bunch of you in here who know college students or have college students in your family. And some of them might be involved at M4C, some of them might not. But the reality is that we're going to know them for a short time. They're going to be in college for a short time. And some of them may know us and some of them may not. At the end of the day, they get to choose if they're going to be involved with us or not. But you are their family, you are their friends, and you're going to have a lifelong relationship with them, and you have way more impact in the long haul than we do. And so I think that's a really wonderful opportunity to take on that responsibility to say, hey, whether I like it or not, I have a college student that's watching me and that loves me, and am I going to use that for God's glory?
Thank you for those insights and ideas, even just to press into that a little more, just in terms of having relationship with the college students, us being older folks. I know that many of you your small group goes on a Sunday night and takes a meal. So meet people and get to know their names when you're there. Have conversations with them. I know that many of you have gone over and done physical work of painting and cleaning and fixing air conditioners and all those kind of things. Those are important parts of our involvement at M4C. I think there's a a brunch being planned for college girls. But in terms of, I guess I want to ask two things. One is, when we have college students here on Sundays, is it wrong or is it awkward for us to go up and have conversations with them, or maybe even to invite them out to lunch, that kind of thing? What is your insight in that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, it's
Yeah.
wrong and awkward?
No, well,
Thank you, King Spencer.
it could be both. But you would rather it be awkward than they come in and feel like a ghost. And feel like I came in, I sat down, people looked me in the eye, but it seemed like they looked through me. They were looking around for someone else to come talk to me because they didn't feel like they were the person to. It'd be much better to be awkward. Students can deal with awkward.
Okay. What about at M4C? I mean, obviously we don't need to, bombard you where there's 40 of us there, but at a time. But are we welcome to be there? Are there opportunities for us to be there and be of help in some way? Or
We are definitely always looking for people who want to spend time at M4C, during our gatherings. We think that we need adults. Our college students are adults, so the word that's coming to mind is grown-ups, I guess. I don't know, what else do I put? College students, adults, grown-ups. We would need grown-ups, couples and people who are disciples of Jesus, who have walked the walk, who are older than us, who can also say, this is also the life. This is what we get into. And having those people around is just a good presence to have. Some of the most influential people when I was in college weren't the college ministers. They were older people who came around and hung out just because they loved college students. And that made all the difference for me. And I remember them more than I do the college ministries. And I think that is one thing that is huge. We also need people to serve in different ways, from teaching classes to just hanging out with us and, leading projects. So there's always an opportunity.
I would say, I think one of the most impactful ways that you can kind of be with college students today is if you are married, to be there with your spouse. There are so many college students that come from broken families, and we try to be a good example for them, but we've also only been married for 3 years. And there's a lot of you who have been married a whole lot longer than us and are a wonderful example of what a godly marriage looks like. And so I think, in the world of, this is the time where college students are looking for the person that they want to be with. They're looking for the person that they're going to spend the rest of their life with. And so just come show them, what does that look like every day? And it doesn't even have to be like necessarily talking to them about marriage all the time, but just showing them actively, this is how we interact and we love each other and we honor and respect each other. And I think that is a really impactful way to just be there with them and to be there together with them.
Great. Well, thank you, Spencer and Bethany. We're glad you're here, and we love you and support you. Would you show your appreciation to them? David, one of our shepherds, is going to come up and in his shepherding prayer, I know he's going to be praying for them specifically. So.